Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. This episode is being recorded on 4/12/25. This is another Q&A episode, but before we get to any other part of this, I now open this circle to true benevolence with no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, your loved ones, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda so that we can have this conversation with support and again with those who wish to participate. And we ask for malevolence and mischievous beings to be swept away right now so that we can have this conversation in peace and that so you can listen to it in peace as well. And with that, with great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
And so be it. This is now the next part of this is the affirmation and blessing. So this one says, to love, to relationships, to life, and to pleasurable experiences. I say live them to the fullest. That way you live, you truly live. And that is from Vesa. This is, that is a long one. Okay. This is okay. This goes to the first question.
Says, what is the true nature and or layout of what people call the spirit world?
This is an interesting one, folks. So this one was by Isaac. Isaac here to answer this slightly complicated yet simple question. Since you have the universe, multiverse, omniverse, and super omniverse, the spirit world not only falls within the omniverse, but the super omniverse. Since there are many omniverses within the super omniverse, this represents the many mansions described within the Bible as being my Father's kingdom. So to speak, anyhow. Each mansion is its very own kingdom. Some good, bad, or indifferent, with those in the lower rungs, or as he here calls it, the Beetlejuice layer, also better known as the astral plane. Astrals, as some spirits are known as, inhabit these lower decks. Barely above ghosts themselves, these miscreants, pirates, and vagabonds can and are sometimes made up of some people's destructive and controlling ancestry, as Joanna and Chris described in the lifting episode entitled The Line, whereas some of Chris's family line was controlling him from afar. The higher rungs of spirit are literally everything else untouched by the lower decks. Think for a second of a ship's hold. Think also of the cold, damp, and dark conditions of said hold, along with if there are any people and or slaves staying within said hold. Think also of the cargo in said hold. No light, all weight. Think of the people's thoughts and health conditions that would commonly stay in said holds. Now think of the upper decks where the crew commonly would stay and the captain's quarters with most of the crew's booty and bounty. That, my friends, is the stark difference between upper and lower decks of the spirit world. So that's from Isaac.
All right, next question. How do sexual cords get attached? Why and by whom?
All right. All right, Elena here, everyone. These get attached each time one has sex with a partner, themselves, quote unquote, or with multiple partners. The reason being is that with each cord, sexual in nature or not, those are a conduit or portal. Since this is so, cutting a cord is indeed necessary after sex. Not that you are ever cutting off your partner's love. This is never so. Now, who makes them? You do, of course, but they are just exploited. Fix, not cut. You can program your subconscious to automatically cut all cords, and more specifically, sexual one. But it takes a mantra to do it. Here it goes. I hereby cut any and or all cords, conduits, energies, reciprocal or otherwise, to my partners, of whom my love still burns bright. See? Easy peasy. Next question. And she stuck her tongue out. So, next one.
Okay, why should a timestamp be put on said after every channel and or video, written or spoken?
Okay. Simple, really. Isaac here to give a short but meaningful answer. You must do it to close the circle, even small ones. Ones given with telepathic intent as well as ones with energetic intent. Now, this is not true of all things, so do not get OCD about it. But for true connections, yes, indeed, do it. Just like the cord cutting, but with number codes instead. These not only mark the day and hour, but an energetic passion with the universe, multiverse, omniverse, and super omniverse. Time does indeed exist. Just look around you. Hee hee. Next question. Also, tongue out emoji. So, okay. Oh, the open and closing circle examples. Excuse for a second. I will use this as an example when we've said on past episodes of the lifting, whereas each time you do a session, like a tarot card session, this is why I tell tarot card readers, do not rapid fire clients, no matter how tempting it is to do so. This is why I do only one session a day. I know you need the money, but you not only have to change out your card deck once a quarter or once a year, especially if you're using it from client to client, they are getting hooked to other cords if you're not cleaning the environment. Also, Reiki masters, if you're not closing the circle properly, you're not cleaning your environment, you rapid fire clients, you're having all that crap on the floor and they attach to clients and the client can get worse. You do not want this. Now, with the cards, you just say open circle and within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas, and then you go closed circle within no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. So you hear me say that a lot. That might be a mouthful, but you have to remember these things. That, and if you're at a psychic fair, you can't going around drumming up business. We ran into somebody long ago at the Phoenix Psychic Fair that did this. And I said, you can't do this because you're attaching a cord or a connection to someone. You must remain in your booth and have the people come to you. Also, if you're giving out tarot cards at a psychic fair or a conference or something, oh, this is your card for the day, you have just opened a conduit to that person each and every single time, and you have to close it each and every single time. Do not just hand out those cards like they're business cards. Hand out your business card and then let people do the session with you if they so choose. Don't be a barker at a fair trying to drum up business doing that. These two worlds can be married together, business and psychic, but not in every single aspect. This has to be remembered, and you must follow energetic protocols at all times. Doing this, you cannot just blur the lines. They can be married, they can have wedding rings to each other. One grounds the other. The energy worker basically keeps the business person in check, and the business person also helps ground the other one. The energetic person has certain knowledge. The business person also has certain knowledge. You see this. We saw something about Disney recently where he was the person that was the creative and his brother was the accountant. Both keep each other in check. If you're running a fair, you must have both types of people there. This is just how this operates in this world. So, next.
Does caffeine come naturally from plants, or was it bioengineered by ETs millions of years ago?
This was actually pretty cool. So, okay. It was actually bioengineered millions of years ago by terraforming ETs wishing to have their favorite substances grow naturally. Caffeine is a galactic narcotic, LOL, that now grows naturally, LOL. But here's the kicker. It actually was harmless back in the day. Well, virtually harmless. Now, on the other hand, it gets spiked by the corporations to be 100 times more powerful than its original counterpart, refining it down no different than sugar, cocaine, and/or heroin. Next question. Isaac.
Are there really both a restaurant planet and a natural park planet.
A national park planet, national park, like how we have our forest preserves and such. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd heard this back in the day of earlier channelings, and I began to question these two. This is one of our own questions here. So, okay, this one, I believe it was Vesta that said this. Okay. No, I am sorry to say that both of these were a trick, Christopher. Brought on by your wish that the GF had those things. Vesta here, Chris, to say that Lanulos has restaurants and parks. Is there a large plant-like museum planet? Yes, indeed there is. Very nice and colorful, but as far as the Coruscant-like business and restaurant planet, no, I'm afraid not. You were also seeing human intentions when entering the galactic stage. Sorry. What she means is we will be creative enough to create these things, is what she is actually meaning. There are some of those things. There is a Coruscant-ish type planet, but it is more for a living space. There are a few things there possibly, but I don't completely believe so. The plant-like museum, there's one of those out there where people go to it and see different animals that have been preserved, like a zoo slash plant preserve. The restaurant planet, no, that's a Coruscant type thing. National park, I was told at one point by certain dubious sources, a blonde-haired idiot included in that, taking the form of a Native American form that I will not reiterate the name, said there was a national park planet by which then people could go camping, hiking, and such. Yes, can planets be terraformed? Yes, but these planets tend to have their own businesses on their own planets. Are there some collective areas? Yes, but when we're out there more, we will start to create more of those collective areas. That's what was being said. Did you want to add to that one?
No, I think
okay.
that's complete.
Okay, next.
Isn't Orion the son of Poseidon? I remember reading this in a mythology book.
Yes, Poseidon did have a son named Orion, then so named after his oppressors from Orion and the subsequent parallel universe with energies in tow. He learned some of what he saw in regards to genetic engineering. Some here knew already, and that was by Orlog. So that's and winking emoji after that. So next.
The Galactic Federation Treaty meant that some number of races had to morph their species by marrying their own DNA
with Orion,
with the Orion DNA question. And this turned them into the variety of gray form with no gender. Which races? Couldn't have been the entire populations, right? And was this a main goal of the false Orion War and resulting treaty to create a sort of legion of genetically assimilated races? Or perhaps these were the new species, such as the Ebens, sort of spawned in as a new race rather than morphing an existing one?
Yes, okay. Yeah, I answered this one. Yes, the Codex would and could rewrite the DNA of anyone if the proper DNA code and or energetic code were present. This makes it so. This is what makes it so dangerous. Excuse me. There, I apparently have typos because I'm blind as a bat when I type this. So this is what makes it so dangerous. But the catch is no one has the original coding. It is like in Skyrim where the guy wants you to recreate Dwarven blood out of a facsimile of multiple Elven blood types. The races involved, I feel, are the now Ebens, but did all have to change? No, but the treaties allowed for the yield to change species almost at will. Now, it's also like in Stargate where you had the ancient gene that could access technology, like the character that finds technology at a garage sale and is able to access what Colonel O'Neill's memories through the whole Stargate program via like a conduit. Yeah, like a channeling. They basically showed channeling being associated with stones, but also being associated with ancient technology. I fully agree with that assessment, but also certain people could access it because they were related to its creators. So, this, I believe, is part of that process. So, Okay, next. We can go on the next one.
Okay. Are the Klingons in Star Trek lore really fashioned after Vikings or Norsemen?
All right, here we are. Yes, everybody, they are. Isaac here to tell all of you that the way the Klingons are made is of a composite of three distinct sources. One, Vikings, Norsemen. Two, a very small amount of Egyptian Sumerian style for their homes, weapons, uniform/dress code. And three, Middle Eastern, Arab for weapon styles, as well as warrior code styles. The Viking Norseman warrior code with a blend of Japanese Bushido code is mixed in as well. So I guess this means four distinct cultures amalgamated into one. Klingon. Their language is a mix of Norse and Elfish kind too. Their head ridges are derived from an Elfish look. There is a famous portrait of Saint Nicholas of Myra that looks like Worf from Star Trek. It was him, but was of this elfish race. It was labeled him, but was of this elfish race. So in all, 5 distinct races. Vikings, basically Winky Face. Vikings, Odin and his people always did have an affinity for fairy women. Haha, Isaac. So, okay, next one.
In the video, Did the World End in 1999 by Metaphysical, he points out that there have been no cultural progression and real true creativity since the year 1999. The question is, what truly happened?
Yes, there was a video. I will put the link in the descriptor below. It was actually pretty good. It's also in my favorites on my on my YouTube account. Excuse me a second. I'll be sure to put the link in here. This was actually a very poignant point he was making where there was no cultural progression in the video or in our culture since 1999. It's like the world stopped. Like all the decades had distinct looks, like the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, like from 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. All the clothes were different. All the styles were different. But then you got up to the 2000s and everything just started to bleed into one another. Vehicles, clothes, styles, language, all of it. So, okay, this is the answer here. Hey, Isaac here to say that this is not only a mix of timeline slipping, shifting, and blending, but psionic dampening, or as he here calls it, the dumbing. That and the use of chemtrails, chemclouds technology, and the fact that you all rest on the precipice of change within the crossroads of self. The only other option left is the artificial reality, like in the Matrix movies. This is not actually true, but in other parts of the multiverse, it most certainly is. You did indeed avoid this fate back in the year 1999. This is also why you don't see another Back to the Future movie, even though there was an official trailer for it. In it, Marty McFly was stuck in the year 1999. This is why Prince sang and wrote a song, Party Like It's 1999. The year 1999 is and was quite important within the multiversal reality that you all find yourselves in. Creativity is key, now more than ever before. So is observation. Search for déjà vu. It is the key to discovering why 1999 was and is so very important. This is all that I can say for now until he here is able to comprehend more on this subject. And then he likes to wink a lot. Though he knows much about it, there is much, much more to learn on this subject. Repetition is key to understanding it. Failure is key to understanding it. Bye for now. Next question, dumbass. And laughing emoji. For whatever reason, he found this funny. So, okay. As for the Back to the Future trailer, I did indeed see it. And for those of you that think that I just saw the AI Tom Holland version, I did not. I saw a version with Andrew Garfield as Marty McFly's son, and he is tasked by a government agency to locate Marty McFly somewhere in time. Doc Brown even narrates that this is not the future we were promised, implying that the timeline changed from flying cars in 2015 to our unchanging Matrix reality. You be the judge. Also, if you want to see more material from us on the multiverse and how it affected and even created what we know of as galactic history, go no further than galacticinterversialconsortium.com or gic.show. Just subscribe for $5 a month and you will have access to a plethora of videos and this and many other galactic historical subjects. Okay, now it's the next question.
Okay. What is the Cabal family pecking order and why?
Okay. Who did this one? This was Isaac. Okay. I will state only this. For the record, different territories belong to different Cabal families, just exactly like the Doom Great houses. That said, there can be only one when it comes to what family is in ascendance at any point in time. The others must bow to them. That said, this is why you have most countries bow to the Trump terrorists, and some that do not see the writing on the wall, meaning his family is in ascendance, while others wish they were. The Rockefellers and the Rothschilds being the top dogs that fight each other on an almost continuous basis. That also said, some families do not know that they are part of this fight. When is a gift not a gift? This is how the Atreides family came to power in Dune, and how the Harkonnens' trick became the fate and map of the great houses. That is all for now on this subject till more is known. Next question, Isaac. And he just winks a lot. So, okay, next one.
What were the weather controllers hitting with all of those tornadoes in Tennessee and Kentucky?
All right. What weren't they hitting? Honestly speaking, they were knocking out more homes for resettlement and repurposing the land, as well as mining for precious metals like lithium and others under people's homes. They drill tunnels for bases, yes, but each faction competes with all of the others for resources. Proof of this was Hurricane Helene and Milton. What he's actually saying is, here we go. The weather warfare, they knock down the houses, since people, of course, would never give up their land. They go in and get it for pennies on the dollar, and they start trying to mine resources that they've discovered under the neighborhoods, like in the game Fallout 76, where you see all the tunnels that were under the neighborhoods and businesses, and you saw the big drill when you try to go to Vault 79 to look for gold. This and the government resources are all under your feet. That is actually accurate. There was even a story where someone went to go in his little bubble helicopter, went to go rescue an elderly couple in Asheville, North Carolina, which is where there's a big lithium deposit there, by the way. That's why they were wanting all the houses knocked down. He went to go rescue them, brought back one of them, left his co-pilot, came back and ran into a government agent saying if he went back for his co-pilot and the other person, he would be arrested. And he goes, basically, under what charge? I'm actually, I'm doing what you guys should be doing. And a friend of his actually held the other guy at bay while he went and got his co-pilot and the other person. He can only hold one at a time, you see. So him and his co-pilot chose the elderly couple first. And he went back, and I am unsure of the consequences to this. I don't know what happened to this person after this. But this person was, I believe, fairly certain, and I'm fairly certain that other guy was working for a government corporation like the ICC or variation thereof to get the resources no matter what, and anybody that was trying to be a white knight in the whole thing was basically quelled. And this was also like it was in Globe when we found the ICC blatantly advertised there was actually drilling for copper, mining for copper against the Native American wishes. When I found a galactic race that the ICC was trading with, I basically told them, yeah, they're shysters, they will screw you, and they believed me, and which was still true, I wasn't lying. And they got mad, but at the same time, some elementals that were in the area dropped $40 on the ground for us, and basically in return for basically some of our gas money, and they were actually very happy that the Native American and the elemental cause was honored versus that of galactics and ICC interest. So this goes under, this actually goes under this particular type of warfare. Also, disclosure in the media reference for this, a very, very good one that people have probably forgotten about, is the movie with Mel Gibson called Conspiracy Theory, where he starts making this website of crazy conspiracy theories, and he hits one that's true, where they were going to assassinate a world leader with an earthquake. Like with psionic weaponry, and that happened to be true, or energy microwave weaponry happened to be true. You just aim at a tectonic plate and you cause an earthquake and it kills a bunch of people. This is the Guidestone timeline, folks. Not that this exists anymore, but this is what these pre-programmed morons are still trying to play out. Whereas they would cull the society down to 500,000 million within the accordance of nature that was on the Guidestones, they don't realize it's done, and they're just on programming. It's just like when the Allies stormed Auschwitz and still found a Nazi still trying to run the ovens. And they had to shoot him because he wouldn't stop. He kept trying to dive for the ovens. It's this programming. They keep on with this programming they were conditioned with, and they don't get that their time is actually nigh. So, within this. So not that I realize it, not that I'm saying is that the cabal's fading on its own. It's just timelines are shifting away from that and have shifted away from the Guidestone timeline. So I just wanted to add that in there. Okay, next.
Why are some people spared damage during a weather warfare event while others suffer complete and utter devastation?
Yes, this was actually a good one. He goes, last one, dumbass. I must stress that it is a have and have not, as well as a royalty and serf type situation, whereas the weather warfarers do not, and I emphasize, do not give a shit about who is hurt and who is not. They spare no one the pain and the anguish. That said, those that are spared have the backing of different dimensional and or galactic groups. Most people believe that it is all God and angels doing this, but the truth of the matter is some races like some families, people, etc., while others hate people's guts and want the land to live on. Contracts upon yields, upon deals. They were promised land that the corpse and cabal cannot deliver on, nor will they be allowed to, ever. Next question, dipshit. Wink. And with this, what he was saying, that goes back to the Guidestone timeline. They wanted to cull the population up so they could honor these rotten deals with some of their galactic hedge betting cronies.
And that was Isaac.
And that was Isaac that said that. That's what the point he was trying to make from the previous, what I just said, or what we just said. So, next.
Can I give just fenbendazole to my dog for his cancer? I've been reading that I can, but am unsure.
Okay. This was both by Isaac and Thorsden. So, this was Isaac that spoke first. Yes, you can, wink. Isaac here to say that I am not a doctor nor play one on TV, but my brother is, shiny tooth and all. And he also says now, as he fights me for the channel. Thorsden here, my dear, just give him benzoyl and alkalize his body with baking soda, a small amount building to a slightly larger one, then taper off to a small one, and too small, and stop. Ivermectin in tiny doses does. Okay, excuse me a minute. Ivermectin in tiny doses will help as well. Do not go through the woulda, coulda, shoulda with your past medical issues. Just know that you know now. This more than likely will not change the fact that you are angry, but just know it is justified. That is all for now. Bye. Wink. Isaac and Thorsden. That was both of them. I do apologize for the stammering. This font on here is driving my eyes crazy on this Word document. I copy and paste them from Facebook, and it puts this black background with a bunch of white writing, and I have to squint to see it. Okay, this is the next question. I'm having to sum up this large question. When you guys send in questions, don't send the humongous thing. Put it down to a little paragraph. So I'm summing it up. This person saw in a movie about a psychic that had a psionic telepathic multiverse spectrometer quantum scanner, and the user was able to scan and explore the entire superverse through mental resonance and focused thought by focusing on a particular anchor or focusing on a particular spot. I'm just going to leave this here. So I will go on to this this particular part of the question. I was just curious on this, and if you have this ability, like mentioned or notes, do you know any ETs with these abilities? I'm just curious about that. And I put, yes, this is interesting. I do this when I look into the multiverse, but only if necessary. What he was saying is, can I form certain constructs to look into the multiverse and scan on particular frequencies and scan particular timelines and be able to create within those, essentially within those timelines, and basically bring abilities here, like what you saw in Everything Everywhere All at Once? Yes, but within reason and only if it is necessary for that specific task. Just like you saw Michelle Yeoh in the movie, only grabbing them to be able to rebalance and re-audit the timelines. That was it. I do not recommend that any seer do this on a regular and constant basis. Temporal and time manipulation, whether there's another self working through you through the multiverse or not to accomplish this, yes, it is. It can be a good thing, but it can also backfire, just like you saw in Marvel with the universal incursions and/or bleed throughs. Also, in reality, Mandela effects that probably do not need to be happening. So please be careful with this. Also, I did want to ask you: do you have the ability to scan the frequency or even the scent of an object and send it to other realms in the universe? For example, I bake a yummy Bigfoot shaped chocolate cake for Orlog. Or, for example, I buy donuts for Homer Simpson, like a new bike for Bart Simpson. Do you have the ability to scan the frequency and send it to them, like in Coco, when they turned the guitar into a ghost guitar, or the skeleton adults would turn the food into ghost food? Do you have that ability with scanning frequencies and sense of objects and foods and sending them to other realms in the multiverse? I'm just curious. Also, can you teleport things like teleporting a book to Orlog physically? I'm just curious about this. And I wrote, yes, I do this within the frequency by which that particular scenes, and or beings exist. Like when a weird attachment is found. I transmute it into something Burgess the dragon here can eat. I can teleport a book to Orlog if I want. That can become physical for him too. I just imagine what I want to send, like typing an email or message and click send. Some time travel incidents have been that way, where those in other timelines and time frames have been known to do that for people in our time and on their computer screens and or TV screens. We spoke about this on GIC about both psionic like temporal scams, like the 2109 scam that's actually been out there, and also other ones like there were some instances where people were getting messages on a computer screen that were from the 2109 scam. If you want to know what that is, just go to gic.show. We actually spoke about it in there about time travel and temporal scams and the psionic war.
Which one am I doing? That one?
That one, yeah.
That's also very awesome, and they can send things to us too, correct? I think they should send some over some of the advanced technologies.
Yes, they can, but they usually show us in channel how to find a particular answer on our own. For them to do it is a violation of galactic treaties and laws. Now, when you heard this person make the comment about like Homer and Bart Simpson and things of that nature, yes, this person believes that there are other realities that these characters actually exist within. And I can't completely dispute that. I just haven't been able to find, the realms by which these creations exist, at least not yet. Do I dispute their existence? Absolutely not. So like if there was an experiment done years ago where this paranormal team basically did some character creation, and they created a character, birth, how he came into being, and what he was at present. Then did a ghost box session by that when they did this person came through. then they had to uncreate and or fast forward to where the person died. In some other universe, was that created from your thoughts? Yeah, I don't doubt this. Also, I inadvertently did this with a construct one time where I had to uncreate this creation. It was a woman I thought was a fairy, a redheaded woman, but it was something that apparently my energies had spawned, and I had to uncreate. And this, unfortunately, that creation begged for its life. I did not like that or cherish that at all. The bad guys more than likely aided in hijacking my co-creativity to create that so that I had to uncreate that. And that was more of a torturous thing for myself. But this is the type of ability that this person is getting at. Can they do this here? Can they co-create things here beyond synchronicity and connection? Yes, but they're simply not allowed, like the Elder Scrolls reference material to the Sigic Order, where they told the Daedric Lords that they couldn't manifest on Mundus or do anything within the realm after Molag Bal destroyed a town and turned people into zombies. That was overboard. There had to be checks and balances in there. There are unfortunately checks and balances in reality in this area as well that you wouldn't think are checks and balances. So, all right, we will go into, this is a video question. We'll just go into the question that's right there.
Okay, the question is there still a reptilian empire? And if so, how big is it?
This is based on a Facebook video that Brian Singh of the Disclosure Now movement .org actually posted a video that was from Buzzwire, I believe, and I will put the link in the description below. So I actually answered him on this, but I'll add this into this Q&A. And I said, from what I understand it, the reptilian empire has broken up and consists of multiple clans, banners, and loose and tenuous alliances. At least currently, it won't be hard to break out of their control, and that's where I ended and Isaac went into his channel. Sorry, this font is very blurry to me, so if it sounds like I'm running on sentences, I do apologize. So it's that black on white and white on black thing. So it is, hey, Isaac here with a quick interjection. The supposed reptilian empire is indeed fractured beyond repair, but there are those of the royalty that and those of old beliefs that still tout the old colors. Take, for example, a Draco soldier. You see him wearing his armor. His armor denotes clan affiliations, but also those new gang colors also cover old colors for a once massive empire. Those that exist now just grab armor that works and just repaint it. That is all I have. That is all for now until he here knows more about this part in this subject matter. Bye, Isaac. Okay, I believe that is at the end here. So sorry for that bit of a clusterfuck there, but this it's this font that my eyes have a really hard time with. And with both of us. And please, when you send in questions, please just send in little brief things and don't go into this overall concept. But there are other parts like A, B, C, D, E, F, G to those. Separate this out and we'll turn those into separate questions that then relate back to the original point. If you do it that way and not have one gigantic like cluster concept there, yes, Isaac, hashtag cluster concept, I understand. This avoids actually throwing F-bombs into your Q&A. Okay, yes, I get it. This will help us out absolutely greatly doing that. And this is actually something that I did not expect for this morning. You heard in previous Q&As where we had Carl Weathers and all of them on, had Michael Jackson at the very end. This one was actually very surprising. This one is Val Kilmer. And Val Kilmer, as you know, recently passed away at the age of 65. And this was on April 1st. I thought it was an April Fool's gag because it was on April Fool's Day. But we had seen him earlier in time, and this was a Mandela effect, I do believe. People can correct me if I'm wrong. But he actually passed away while Maverick, or Top Gun Maverick, was being filmed. And with this, though, people believe the memorial for Iceman was what people are remembering during the movie. And some say that Val Kilmer had the funeral and then he had that whole memorial so that he was basically telling everybody he was done with movies. It was more of a way of moving on and saying goodbye. Is like basically killing the character off once and for all. That, yes, I can understand where people are getting that explanation from. Here's the catch. At the time we saw Top Gun Maverick in the theaters, at the end they had a birth to death date of Val Kilmer, basically saying he had just recently passed away, in memoriam type of thing. You only see the in memoriam when somebody's died. On the news and on TMZ, they also spoke about it. On the April 1st thing, on the episode that came the day after, on April 2nd, TMZ was talking about it like it had just happened, but it had happened before. People think that they're not, some skeptics believe people just aren't remembering it, they're just remembering the funeral of Iceman. And I'm telling you, yes, I remember that, but the subsequent in memoriam and the news broadcast and TMZ broadcast afterwards is what we also remember. So this is what stood out. I firmly believe this is a Mandela effect. But I do notice that in someone's session recently, Val Kilmer did come through as a ghost along with Gene Hackman. Now, this is what got murky. Gene Hackman can speak to that at some point, but I felt he was a good soul. It's just something funky happened with Val Kilmer. I had to move him on as well. He didn't look very good as a ghost or anything like that. He had some breathing issues. They said he died of pneumonia, but he kept saying it was far more complicated than that. That he would tell us at the appointed time when he was more in spirit. Well, now here he is, and he looks like he did when he was in the movie Willow. I think he's just showing me that role because that was one of my favorite movies with him in it. The character of Mad Mardigan. It's too bad they ruined it with the defunct series, but I won't go into that. The talk about leaving a circle open, folks. No, he found that funny. Okay. You don't know half of it. Okay. So this is where I'm at. Like with Michael Jackson wanted to drop a truth, and with Val Kilmer, he wanted to drop something as well. So I will go into this. It actually helps to add this to a Q&A because instead of just having it its own episode, unless there's a larger concept where multiple people come in. And Val, are you standing next to Gene Hackman by chance? Is that him standing next to you? All right, I thought so. Okay. Because I see him as he looked as Lex Luthor in Superman, but again, they're showing me these roles because these were favorite things. So, not that that's how they look. That's just how they are appearing. So, for probably my benefit. So, okay, Val, are both of you wanting to talk, or is it just one? You both can briefly. All right, that's fine with me. The true benevolence with no conflicting agendas at this moment in time. Okay, who wants to go first? Okay. They both, Val pointed at himself and Gene pointed at him. So, okay. And for the record, I do feel like I know these individuals from somewhere too, like on a soul level. So. There is some resistance here. Hold on. Definite resistance to this, folks. So that's also what's causing us to stammer too, I believe, through this whole thing. So, okay. Yep, I'll get to it. Hello. You may know me from my roles on both movie and commercial. Not so much commercial, but say, his favorites are essentially Mad Mardigan and Doc Holliday. But This is not the reason that I wished to speak. Your assertions on what is the Mandela effect there is a truth to this, where you're seeing the timeline shift. But again, my oversoul, as whom I'm speaking now, came in more of with a, like Jeffrey Hunter did, and with Elvis and Michael Jackson, more of a need to make corrections within those timelines shifting. Where I and Gene sit is more of a curious sort by which then a series of temporal changes can be made within the appropriate timeline or timelines. Excuse the interruptions. I would like to state quickly that both me and Gene were not necessarily killed by natural means. This may seem passive on the surface. I myself was deteriorating for some time before my death. The death of Iceman, essentially dying of a particular disease, was indeed what I was afflicted with. Just like with your Jamie Foxx suffering a stroke, it is because he wanted to talk about P. Diddy. Did P. Diddy do this to him directly? You can say this. This is an accuracy. With myself, it was very similar. What you saw Iceman suffering from was because I personally could not speak correctly. Yes, was there pneumonia involved? Yes, that was an understatement. It was, and I will not tout the COVID narrative or anything like that, but it was a mass infection and there was a bit of throat cancer involved. This is why he was having trouble speaking, and I could not speak before. My voice box was painful and was compromised. I did agree to speak in the movie, though. In this, there were both chemical intrusion from above. You call them chemtrails, chemclouds, but it was more directed at myself. Gene had Alzheimer's disease. No fault of his own, of course. But this is because his body's natural ability to deteriorate, I shouldn't say deteriorate, or age gracefully, was indeed accelerated. And chemical intrusions made it so. And also a lack of nutrition, or a lack of like the poisons in the food, you call it. Why did this occur? You see this pattern for people that notice things in Hollywood. They notice things going on in the background. Was I involved and Gene involved with the whole Diddy and Epstein thing? Absolutely not. This is how you can tell who is not involved. They even said that Michael Jackson was feared by some of these forces if he ever broke out of that snare, and he had the mental capacity to do so. But did he have? Was there some mind control? Of course, as he said, yes. Do some of us see this and also are depressed and sad and angry about what is going on? Yes, look at Robin Williams, and he can speak to this at some point. I will not take his thunder, but very, very precious soul there. But he can speak to this if he wishes. But this particular incidences is where I was seeing a lot of these things that went on in the background. Some were hearsay, but I did indeed see certain things at parties, gatherings, and basically, let's just say intimidating pokes from not necessarily Diddy himself. That is inaccurate. It was more overall, like basically like play the game or else type of poke. I am not into those sorts of things. I never have been into this. But I also did notice certain thoughts in my head were not necessarily mine. Gene noticed this earlier on, but then was actually then set up to look like it was just his forgetfulness that did this. The targeting was also the Alzheimer's, but also the that everyone around him died as well. This was targeting that was going on. This was a point made because of the whole Diddy information. Mine was because I saw the overall. I also noticed the Epstein thing before it was cool, let's just say. And you also saw, you had your Ricky Gervais make that joke about everybody in Hollywood. He was actually pointing it at everybody because of the Epstein files. Now, have they made a spectacle of this to make it look like it's just a complete narrative? Yes. And this is where I noticed that some was narrative and it was the truth was being covered. But yes, was Hollywood, all of Hollywood involved in this? Absolutely. There are good people out there. Jamie Foxx, I can't exactly speak for him, but he did notice and resist to the Diddy influences, and you saw what happened to him. He was trying to keep it quiet so that his family was not in danger. But this is what has been going on, unfortunately, in the background. I wanted to add this to your Q&A because I wanted this information out. I'm more than happy to answer anything you wish.
Really, I only have a couple questions. One of them, since you're bringing up the whole P. Diddy thing, it's sounding to me like it was, or is, I mean, it hasn't, some of it has not been dismantled, I'm assuming, because there's always people in the background's names you don't know, but that this was a larger infrastructure than people can right now wrap their heads around.
It's far larger than you know, yes. And I know, and even I didn't see the entire breadth of it. It was more only what I personally experienced. But then I understood that it was much larger than I gave credit for.
Yeah, which means that they always put somebody out front that could be a fall guy if it's understood, but still somehow it tries to recreate itself in a different way. It's like we've said that forever. A lot of times it's not about something completely going away. It just tries to recreate itself, and there's plenty of players in the background that you really don't know about. I'm assuming that's also what's being said. I think people get relaxed sometimes and they think it's over and they don't understand it's just recreating itself. And they're throwing the person that you saw as a public face to it. They're throwing them under the bus, but they partly keep going.
Yeah, CB and Gene were statements, you see, and so was Jamie Foxx. That is a statement. That was a warning to himself. Go further, and there is consequences to this. Mob tactics, very much like with the mob and your whole Jimmy Hoffa story. They did not actually kill him when they said they did. They just told the other mob families they did because they lost track of him. So they wanted to make sure that the other mob families believed that he was buried under the stadium, live on TV. You're here but not here kind of thing. This was actually more to appease them. He actually did live out his life in another place. He can touch on this at some point if he wishes, but some of them wished me to relay this. But yes, this was more of a statement. Die a horrible death because you walk the righteous path. This is also why you see people like Jonathan Majors and the rest of them holding Bibles and things of that nature, referring, like also Jeffrey Hunter did, playing Jesus and King of Kings. We're trying to refer that we are not like the satanic group, we are of God, you see. They're trying to distinct between the two sides, like in your Doctor Strange, where Dormammu means Father God, and basically calling it satanic. Who would rather do that than satanic Hollywood? You're seeing the distinct, even no matter what your feelings on religion are. These are the people that believe these lines drawn in the sand. This is what you're witnessing.
Okay, so my other question has to do with the Mandela effect. So now that you're caught up in the controversy of the Mandela effect, it's kind of two parts. One of them, is this a Mandela effect? What happened with you? And number two, when you were alive, living on Earth, did you have moments where you felt like you were remembering something of a different time frame? Because it's not really supposed to happen. It's supposed to be a little bit more seamless when changes occur. But did you have your own Mandela effect moments?
The reason it is not seamless is they're using a real Mandela effect as a cover narrative for the crap that goes on in Hollywood. It was a real effect. They saw this so that they over amplified that part of the story. They put it out there as a controversial narrative. Your three-letter agencies, your CIA does this quite a bit to run an op to put it as the mystical thing as the forefront or mystical thing. Did it happen? Yes, but it was also a warning to myself that at the time, in the timeline you know of right now, that I passed away on April 1st, that was more of a warning to me. Go no further, or you suffer the fate of Iceman. Did this happen? That it was the in memoriam that you saw, more of a warning to myself. Go no further. Yes, but there was also a Mandela effect where I actually did pass away in that timeline, but the timeline you jumped to did have me live until April 1st. The fact that it was done on April Fool's Day was an insult to myself. Basically saying, April Fools, you're dead. This is what he was picking up on, that it was some kind of April Fool's gag, but by evil. So everybody thought that this was an April Fool's gag. Now, did I experience anything in my life? Yes and no. I blew some things off as controversial, or you would say conspiracy theory, but I really wasn't a complete believer in it. But did I experience some paranormal things? Yeah, from time to time. There were sounds, sights, ghost occurrences. And did I see where maybe an object moved across the room from one place to another? Yes, like a wallet, and also a phone vanishing and found it in a place where it didn't belong. Yes. Did I see glitches in time, such as, or people call matrix glitches or Mandela effect, whereas details were different? Well, sometimes obituaries in the paper or something or online, but I mistook that as just maybe I didn't remember it right, as some people think. But those were, it was more restricted to smaller little, now I understand they were paranormal instances. But then I really didn't completely give it a second thought. I wasn't really a skeptic, it just wasn't my thing, even though the roles I played probably begged to differ in some way. But I was more into some academic concerns, and also some just more my career and also family and whatnot. But I didn't give it a second thought. But did I witness? Yes.
Okay. I'll just leave it up to you for any last words you want, since I guess Gene's coming in as well, so.
He
any
says
last
briefly
words?
he will, yeah.
Okay.
So yes, this is just know that yes, it was both. Whatever the conspiracy theory is around this, yes, they are using the Mandela effect thing as a cover, but did it happen? And they are using it. Yes. Was it also used as a warning? Oh, this happened here or will happen if you do this, et cetera, et cetera. Yes. So it's actually both in this instance. So I bid you a good day, everyone, and I will let Gene speak from this moment. He wishes to be brief. He is not necessarily comfortable completely. I did kind of drag him along. So it was like with George Foreman, the channel thing wasn't his shtick, but he will speak briefly out of respect. So give me a moment. He's right. It's kind of creepy, but I will say that the way I passed was even creepy. They found us after some time after our passing. Even the dog passed. And what ended up happening was this. You know, your Houdini spoke of glamour magic, confusing details. This is what's happening where seers try to look into even my case and Val's case, Jamie Foxx and the rest of them, and they're getting different timelines. There's also your psionic dampening and all the other things that were mentioned. But seers are getting convoluted because they don't want to see the truth within the timeline that they sat or see the controversy. Just to convolute it with temporal concerns or overbloat a temporal concern, like with the Mandela effect, is a falsity, but it's also true. It's just being expanded. What happened, and I can tell you what happened in the timeline you witnessed, is this. Where I was not of my right mind, but before the mental slippage, I started to notice that memory was, it was more, It just wasn't available. Something was not available to my mind. Reality started to slip a little. I didn't completely get it until I had it checked. Then I retired. Then at home, things started to slip more and more, where reality and the filters of reality were no longer there. But how did this accelerate? One day, as I was sitting in an office, all I heard was ear ringing. And it began with that. Began with tinnitus. You would call this your Havana syndrome, but this wasn't quite as severe. It was more of a dizziness and vertigo. Then migraines, things of that nature. Then it switched over to something more reality bending, and then that's when I retired. Couldn't drive, do any of these things. But I tried to fight this off. I did not know about things like, say, toning or meditation, or again, like Val, I didn't give these things a second thought. Could these things help in these instances, learning these old ways? Yes, I fully agree. That's where Mel Gibson also would agree. Did he break free from some of these things? Okay, this is why you saw him go more the Christian route, because he thought Satan, Jesus. They see it as dividing lines, simple explanations like this, not faulting, no matter what you feel about religion. In this instance, there was a dividing line between light and dark, good, evil. In this, what caused this was because I began to not approve of things I'd seen. Not that I'd seen some of these nasty things before. All I did was go to work and do my thing. But like others, like when he had John Ritter come through, he had noticed some things. And when others came through, like your Chadwick Boseman and also James Dean and the rest of them, even Marilyn Monroe with the Kennedy brothers, things were noticed. And Alex Guinness said about James Dean with the cursed car shtick. What is put first? The cursed car. What is put first in Val Kilmer's respect? The Mandela effect. Again, not saying it didn't happen. With James Dean, it was not true at all. There was no cursed car. It was a bomb. Essentially turning his car into a flaming bomb. No. That's and Alex Guinness saying I warned him that he was going to die. He was basically saying he was about to meet his execution. In this, the same went with Val. You continue on this path and this timeline, you're going to meet your executioner. With that, and also your Montauk project and others like it can view the timeline variations and variants, where they could just mark somebody's soul or soul path, so they think, and say, okay, we will stop this person here and create these branch timelines and associated with. If this changes here, we can measure this and changes here. You know your time core material, but most don't know about a lot of that. I myself, what I heard and saw were just the inconsistencies in Hollywood, things that went on in the background, your private parties, things of that nature, and who I had to bump shoulders and hips with. Mel Gibson would tell you the same, who he had to bump shoulders with and rub elbows with, essentially. And essentially the mind control drove him further and further into it. I saw this and I doubted, but at the same time I had already seen. And seeing a little bit, whereas different celebrities were saying different things about where they would go or what they would do, or they had a weird handshake or what you call secret handshake here and there. I didn't approve, but I didn't really completely pay attention. But obviously, mentally wise, somebody knew that I was questioning what something was, and that's really all it took. To me, that's an injustice in and of itself. When you're not involved, but yet you're involved. And this is why you see actors be depressed. Any of them with depression, any of them with any sort of conscience. That turns into depression, like your Mark Harmons and your Val Kilmers or myself or Michael Jackson's, where it went into the psychosis. This is what happens. Look for these things. You'll notice the people with conscience. And also the ones that go completely overboard and go mad then become a distraction, like your excuse his brain is being hit. Uh, mm. Oh yes, apparently I am name dropping too much, so I will quit doing these things. There was certain names that your entourage did not want said. So this is where I will end this part. If you have questions.
Well, probably, because of the situation surrounding your death and the dog and different things. Again, we've talked about this before, but from your perspective, um, can you help tell people from your perspective now, the pets that come in, the loved pets and everything, what happens to them?
Yes, they'll just know that the pets loved me and loved my spouse, and they did not deserve what they got. Neither one of them, the spouse nor the pet, all deserved, and the caretaker that was there. There was one other person that was killed that you don't know about, that was actually there on site as well. Well, the pets, what the way they came in and were basically comforting myself, like what happened to his grandmother and the pit bull Freya that was around her. Uh, what happened to them was they came in to they were attempting to buffer what was going on. They didn't fully understand what was hitting. They just knew something was hitting. And they're not to be faulted for that. They were doing what they came in to do. They some of them take on the ailments of what you suffer in. Also, Isaac is giving me the permission to say that the one that went mad was Kanye West with the Kardashians, and he became a distraction, mind control, and personality was switched and was replaced. I will go no further with that. But with animals, uh, they are play a magnificent role in our lives. The dogs I had, and also one was the neighbor's dog. That was the one that died. The one that lived, unfortunately, was put down. Uh, at first, I was not sure why, but in this instance, it is because this was associated with me, and it was more of a statement against other family members and other people that knew me. I became a statement for those other people. Just like Kanye became a statement for those that would look into certain truths, he became the one that spouted racial slurs, anti-Jew, all this other stuff. You knew what happened there. Mind control. Like what happened to Mel Gibson. What did he do? Same thing. It was the anti-Jew shtick. He broke free. Kanye has not. I will say this because it requires context. Uh, yes, I will stop with that portion. But the animals play a crucial role. When they add an animal into an execution like this is like in your Kingsman movie where they were expected to kill the dog or act like, or it was a dud or a blank in the gun, but they didn't know because they're expected to get rid of a certain attachment, kind of like your Jedi Order getting rid of attachments and people die as a result in this. This is actually more, he thought it was a discernment test, but it was actually more of a Kabbalist message that was in there. When you see animals die in those instances, those are part of someone else's test, initiation to get into the big club. Who essentially pulled the trigger on that whole event was more than likely a newbie that was being inducted into the society or big club, or mind controlled to do so. You see animals die or be shot or what have you, it is one of those tests to get into the big club. They put it in the Kingsman movie as a form of disclosure. Even though that was a good organization that they merged Valiant Thor and the Mosen groupings in there. Now, did the animals gladly do this? Excuse. Hold on. Did the animals gladly do this? Yes. Did they buffer certain attacks or thought they completely did here? Yes. Do animals see pain and they want to take it out of you, but do they always realize it will completely kill them? Yes and no. Like he talks about his father with Booby the cat taking his father's stroke conditions. My dogs were doing the same. One was attempting to grab the medication away uh, and get rid of it and warn against this. Uh, but that was only a piece of the puzzle. The medication was planted to make it look like it was the overall thing, like it was just a bit of insanity. This was the psionic weaponry at work. This was the V2K at work. Even though I didn't require getting hit too much more because of the sickness, the disease, others did. The pills were then planted. Now, did the dog attempt to grab some things? Because sometimes dogs can be controlled and animals can be controlled by a particular frequency. He calls it the Pied Piper of Hamelin effect, where you can guide rats or mice out of an area, or rodents or other type of either vermin or house pet. Can you control them to do these things? Yes. Through V2K, yes. Was she controlled to bring the meds out in that particular moment in time where the dog was around? Yes. Were they then subsequently planted by other parties to be more obvious as a distractive clue? Yes. And so they are dealing with people that know these intricate details, like Sherlock Holmes or his counterpart, Professor Moriarty. They know not only the mystical ways of decoupling people from spirit or changing the perception so they do not bring in sacred knowledge, or they also know geometry, they know dates, times, astrology, they know all these things. They have these advisors within their businesses, very much like you learned in Japan, where they do blessings for businesses and such. There are, like, also in your ancient history, where you had wizards like your Merlin to Arthur, any of them, advisors like your Thomas to King Henry VIII, or Simon Magus, Orion magician, was to Nero, Emperor of Rome, and you saw what happened there. What happened to him? He went insane. There are good and evil ones, like like you said, your Onmyaji of Japan, your Abe no Seimei's children that became the wizards and advisors to the feudal families. This is exactly what's still going on. I did not know a lot of this till I came to Spirit. Mm-hmm. But he's recognizing details by sight, sound, smell association. And this is exactly, and even, yes, Isaac, even tasting the environment, I understand. We all kind of know each other in the spirit realm. Not always agree on tactics, mind you. Like Jeffrey Hunter said, when he came in, he didn't accomplish everything on his list because his oversoul had multiple avatars and multiple realities, accomplishing more of that particular, you say, lesson or goal. In my individual instance, all that I said was a form of that targeting. Look for the insane ones. You'll know where the example is being made. Look to the overemphasis on the mystical and the esoteric, because yes, it is there, but it is being overplayed to have something underhanded happen underneath, like one of your spiritual networks out there. Overplayed New Age language, underhanded, more violent undertone, and ritualistic and satanic undertone. I will say no more in that area, but look to the overemphasis. Not all people involved, but with networks, the overemphasis, then underneath is usually a darker tone. Very much like what he likes to say, the character of Kingpin in your Batman series said, or that version of it said, the brighter the picture, the darker the negative. He remembers that when he was a teenager, about the character Two-Faced, where he had a personality disorder and the bad guys wanted to find the weakness. So this is, he has this in his subconscious as example bullet points. But this is, do you have any other things for me?
No, just how are the pets over there on this other side?
They are all happy. They're happy they did their mission here. They are with me now. I'm sitting in spirit in a home overlooking a lake and overlooking a forest. They are sitting here with me in a recliner next to a large fireplace and a library full of books. And that is also important. What happens in your history whereas they're trying to discourage people from reading books. They're wanting people more into technology and to screw up their eyes and get people on what he calls 3-second goldfish memories, like your Gen Zers. But yet, all these people, the ones that want to say no, have big libraries of books. This is why he saw in an alternate version himself, or what he thought was himself, a big study with books. You will find a study in each of these people that know this information. They have big swaths of physical books and plethoras of books everywhere, that they have that kind of database so that they could sometimes knock out technology and make it so people stay uneducated. Remember, it is important and imperative that you look at physical books and read physical books, as well as have the digital component, just like with your money system. Have the physical money and have the digital component to make things easier. Don't go paperless on money or with no money, and don't go fully the other way, even though that would be far superior. Each and every one of these people with this knowledge they use against people have either written it in books or read it in ancient history, in history that they're not even sharing. They don't want people to know their own history. Those that do not know their own history are condemned to repeat it, and they want that wash, rinse, and repeat cycle, self-farmed like the beings that programmed them to begin with. This is all I have. If you have anything else?
No, just any final words.
Okay. This is actually fascinating. I don't really do things like this. If you hear others talking about me, I'm not really doing channelings. This isn't really my thing. Spirit, yes, I'm in spirit, but it's not really my gig. And it wasn't really Val's gig completely either, but he's gone to a couple people. Like your President Carter, he's gone to several people since you guys talked to him on GIC. Just know I'm not really doing it. So if you hear it from other channelers, they either tried to get a hold of me, or it's a bit of glamour magic, or it's a bit of deception or V2King. I'm not really doing it. That's really all I have to say. So thank you for giving me time. Thank you. Okay. Oh, that's blurry. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. He was getting hit more than Val was when he was talking. So he was giving more intricate details about Kanye and all of them. That's what started to spark the fires out there. When you start talking, you know you've hit a nerve when you start talking about a lot of these things. There is truth there, and there is deception there. There's multiple layers. Remember that in all this. If anything you take away from it, know that yes, they are using the esoteric as a weapon, but it doesn't mean that that esoteric information isn't true. So just know that they're over bloating it, like with the Mandela effect with Val Kilmer, and also esoteric wisdom. But they're also, just know the New Age community will try to divide you within by saying, oh, anger bad, love good, but not acknowledging the emotions. And also, remember, the New Age movement was created by the CIA in the mid-90s. So just know that. But it doesn't mean that what was birthed from that isn't necessarily good. And also, it doesn't mean that just because somebody chose the Christian side or the satanic side that there isn't. There's, of course, bad here, but there's also been bad here in history as well. And it doesn't mean that there isn't good walking amongst us, and there doesn't mean there isn't value to why they stayed on the religious side. Basically, what he was trying to say about the whole Jonathan Majors thing was, we're going to control, set you up, because you're noticing things around. So obviously, something's going on there in that area. Always look for these things. I'm not saying pay attention to the drama or get engrossed in like the drama. You see it on TMZ, you see it on the internet, you see all this speculation, you see all this convoluted junk that's out there. But just know there's truth, nuggets of truth in there as well. They have to say what they're doing, and they have to say what's going on, or it don't work. No, the magic doesn't work. So, Joanna, do you have anything else before we take this out?
Nope, it's been interesting.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed this. This it was a bit of a convoluted mess here with just know. With questions, keep them short and to the point. Also, just make sure not to go on babble on for on and on. So, in lieu of that, I am now closing the circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye-bye now.